This is the Gratitude Journal Podcast.
Well, good morning. It is Memorial Day, Monday morning. It's a little after 8 o'clock, and it's been a while since we went on a ride together. I thought that if I was going to go ahead and perform the task of doing my workout in the morning outside, since it's so beautiful and has been all week, that I would take you along for the ride, if that's okay. It is early this morning, at least for doing my workout. I usually don't do them in the morning, but we've just had this amazing stretch of weather, and as I look ahead to the 7-day forecast for the upcoming week, equally as epic. Now, if you're a fan of rain, as Donna is, then you probably are not super big fans, but I'm just going to take it. So if I happen to pass by people and say good morning, you'll know what I'm talking about, or alert people that I'm passing them on the left, which is sort of common courtesy. Passing on the left. You'll excuse me. I'm trying to figure out the last time that we actually did a ride together. I want to say it's been a couple of years, probably. I have not been on the bike so far in the spring, because in the early winter, when I sometimes was going out to ride, I noticed that I had a completely flat tire. I tried to, front tire, I tried to pump it up, it wouldn't happen, so I knew something was, beyond my control. And it was just the other day, they got around to taking it up to a shop in Cuyahoga Falls, which is just north of us. And so my first point of gratitude this morning is the gratitude extended to the fine folks at Falls Wrench and Wheel in Cuyahoga Falls. Or is that Falls Wheel and Wrench? I think that's it. I purchased this bike from them, new, along with Donna's, and they took me in yesterday and said, it's going to be about a week. And I went, okay, guess I'll ride the stationary bike at home. And then they gave me a call yesterday saying, well, we fixed your tire. And I went and picked it up. So here we are. We're on the trail. I mentioned earlier that I was grateful to Falls Wheel and Wrench. Also grateful for this amazing stretch of weather. It's been pretty amazing. It's not too terribly humid, and it has allowed us to do a little bit of work out in the yard, and that work has included trying to restain my front porch. I actually put a note out to, I don't know if you use an app called Nextdoor. I sometimes post stuff on Nextdoor, like looking for people to do work. And I thought, I do not want to stain my ever decrepit front porch again, because I do it every 2 years and the paint starts to peel. So I said, obviously there's something I'm not doing right. I'm just going to let a professional do it. And got a couple of quotes, settled on a guy. Then he never called me. So I thought, you know what, I'll save $500 and I guess do it ourselves. So that's what we've been doing this weekend, is just trying to scrape and sand down without having to power wash. There's a lot of controversy about power washing. Does it damage the wood? Blah, 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 blah. So today I'm going to wash it before we head out to my parents. And then throughout the week, since it's going to be so nice, I might assign Donna a few little tasks to get us prepped so we can get that taken care of. I've been dealing with a medical issue that will not only sort of probably impact this ride, but will be something that I'll have to deal with next month. Is been feeling very lightheaded. I think I might have referenced this on a previous episode, and I went the blood route, meaning I saw a hematologist, and we were thinking, oh, is it going to be something, leukemia related or something, because I was just feeling so lightheaded and a little tired. And so I went through weeks and weeks and weeks of blood tests every other week. Morning.
Morning.
And it didn't really reveal anything, just that I was anemic and I have an underacting thyroid, which I take a medication for. And so finally he says, I think you ought to go the cardiac route because I'm not really showing anything. Passing on the left. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
And so I did that and saw a cardiologist, and he sent me someone else. As it turns out, I had these little things called PCVs. In fact, sometimes, at one point they got so bad over the winter that I actually went to the ER, and I never go to the ER. I mean, I couldn't even stand up hardly. And so, long story short, I'm going up a little bit of an incline, and due to this condition, it's a little rougher than I thought. I took a couple of medications, but both of them made me feel even more lightheaded than I normally do. So the second cardiologist, who specializes more in rhythm-related stuff, I guess, said, well, I do a lot of ablations, and you seem to be kind of a candidate since the medication didn't seem to work. It would have been a medication I would have taken the rest of my life. And so basically what happens is, passing on the left, basically what happens is they don't entirely put you to sleep, and they run like they go in through your leg, and they run like a catheter or a line up into the bottom chamber of my heart on the left side, which is where these things are happening. And I guess, if I'm understanding it correctly, they sort of cauterize it. It can take a couple of hours, and they don't want you to be totally asleep. And apparently that kind of helps. So I'm hoping it will. It's July the 6th, and for our situation, it's getting somebody to drive us, which Donna's friend Jean, our friend Jean, has graciously agreed. So I'm grateful for Jean. She's going to come over and pick us up and hang out with Donna while the procedure takes place. Has to be done in Cleveland, and then take us home, which I'm very, very grateful for. So that's the newest wrinkle. I have just been so lightheaded the past 2 weeks. In fact, yesterday, just going to like a picnic, Memorial Day picnic. Oh my gosh, I was like, said to Donna, we're gonna have to go home. I just want to sleep. I mean, it's really just amazing. And I'm a little nervous, I guess, because it's your heart. It's not like your elbow, and they can repair a couple of tendons, and you don't really use it as much anymore. I mean, you kind of use this thing every day, So anyway, the lightheadedness really brings down my game, as much as a 63-year-old can have a game as far as working out. Passing on the left. So that's kind of the situation with that. So hopefully that will go well. It's a little chilly this morning. I wore my Nike leggings, which look great. They don't look great on me, but they look great, under shorts. And then I have my padded shorts under there. that are supposed to help, riding a bike. I got the cheap ones, so I don't know how much they really help. Morning. I'm perfectly convinced, and I've been trying to follow this mantra over the past couple of years, is I think in most cases you get what you pay for. I don't know, do you agree with that? I feel like, morning, I feel like I've been sort of cheaping out on things because of price. And I think you can always find a good deal. But I feel like had I bought really good shorts, they would have lasted a long time. And they would have made me feel better than the way I'm already feeling right now, which is, yeah, there's a little bit of cushion down in there, down in that section. But I could be more, When you're riding a bike, you definitely don't want to be uncomfortable. Sorry for the heavy breathing. It's like shoes. Like I need a new pair of shoes, running shoes, workout shoes. And, back when we were living in Pittsburgh in the early 2000s, I bought a black pair of Doc Martens. And, at the time they cost like $150. I mean, it was very, very expensive. But I still have them, and they look great. They have a little bit of a weathered look, but they're supposed to. And like my brother Mark tells me, who's much more of a fashion plate than I, these things will last you like 20 more years. And so it's like when I got this new position, I wanted a Vitamix because I wanted to make my own smoothies. I wanted to make my own hummus. And morning, Vitamixes are expensive. But I'm told, that it will last forever. I cracked the pitcher, the part that you pour stuff in. I contacted Vitamix. They asked for a couple of details. Morning. And they sent me a free one. Like they replace it. So if like the motor goes out in this Vitamix, they just send you a new one. Guaranteed for life. So if budget allows, I don't want to scrimp anymore on stuff. I just want to buy good things so I don't have to buy them again, if I can afford them. Okay, so I'm ready to cross this road here. This is Howe Avenue. It kind of splits up this bike trail. I'm on something called the Freedom Trail. It is this is the one we rode before together. It's a trail that runs from almost in Kent on the far east side, which is where we entered. Usually I enter off the circle in Talmadge, which is the little community just north of us. But they're having a Memorial Day parade, and I think they're going to close off the parking lot I usually use. And it runs through Talmadge, down into Akron, and they're extending it almost to downtown, which should connect eventually to the Towpath Trail. You know what? In Northeast Ohio, there's a lot of suck-ass things, okay? But the one thing that we will compete on any level in America is the park system. We are so fortunate, and I'm so grateful. I wish I enjoyed the outdoors even more than I do. We are so fortunate to have the Cleveland Metro Parks, the Akron Metro Parks, and the Towpath Trail. I mean, it's people who move here from, all these other places, and they go, oh, this is a flyover state. And they come here and they see the parks and they go, oh my gosh, everywhere you look, there's a park. Everywhere you look, there's green. We're pretty fortunate. So today, I wanted to first apologize for not uploading a lot of content to this podcast. I've been really challenged with being a caregiver lately. Been very challenged with work as far as the job part and the amount of time that it's taking. And I think eventually it's going to necessitate a decision because I think that, the job, I think you have to weigh everything out. And while I'm grateful for having a position at my age with benefits, I have, good morning. I'm putting in a lot more time than what I'm being paid for, if I'm just being honest. And a lot of evening things, now things on weekends. This week we're having a discussion about how much we're going to be doing, weekend activities, because it's summer and I work for a radio station, and just the extra time, I have a lot to weigh out. So it's been a challenging time. But one of the things, I guess, that I've been trying to get a grip on and to come to some kind of more clear understanding is trying to live more in the present. And I have to say that it's been very, very difficult sometimes trying to do that. Morning. I think it's been difficult mainly because this journey that we are on causes me to not appreciate the positive things in my current situation. I mean, let's face it, it's very difficult or very easy to focus on the negative things. For instance, yesterday, Donna and I left a get-together at her niece's, about 25 minutes away from where we live. We got about halfway home, and I said, hey, can you, Donna knows how to use the app, and I said, can you turn the alarm off on the house? Well, she went to reach for her phone and it wasn't there. She went to reach for her purse and it wasn't there. Well, she had left it at the party. So immediately I was, I used profanity and I kind of yelled because I wasn't in the mood to drive back. I had to use the restroom, to be quite honest, and it was irritating. And so she, obviously, that look on her face, she felt bad because, and I felt bad. So as we were heading back to her niece's house, I said, listen, that's my fault. I apologize. I should have had my checklist in order. I should have asked you before we even walked out the door, do you have your purse? Do you have your phone? That was my fault. And man, I just felt bad like all night. So, there's so many things to be disenchanted with about the current situation. One of the things I've been really, really struggling with is trying to, I guess, living vicariously through others who are having success and do not have the issues that I have. And a part of me is very happy for hearing all of the great things that are happening to other people, and the fact that they're not tasked with this challenge that takes up literally every inch of my day, mentally, sometimes physically, sometimes spiritually. Can be very challenging, and it's not going to get better. And so I sometimes kind of dip into, the chasm of despair by, at one hand, trying to be happy for others who are experiencing great things, that have good news, and on the other hand, feeling a kind of woe is me kind of situation, and trying to find like a middle ground between those two. Really, I don't even know if finding a middle ground is really the right, I don't even know if that's even the right thing to say. It's more like accepting what is, and it's very tough, I'm kind of a shitty Buddhist, and I'm a shitty Catholic too, but I feel like this notion, this notion of accepting your current situation and I guess trying to find joy in it. Man, oh man, I'm telling you what, it is tough. And so I spend a lot of time looking towards the future and not really living in the present moment. I spend a lot of time trying to plan what might happen, what could happen, what I'm assuming is going to happen. And I'm sorry, I'm crossing a bunch of we have just north of us, for those who are unfamiliar with our area, this community of Talmadge. Oh, they're letting me go. Thank you. This community of Talmadge has a famous thing called the Talmadge Circle, and it spokes off into all these different directions. Well, this Freedom Trail crosses a couple of those spokes, so you have to stop and wait for the traffic. And at that particular place, they had a sign up, a state sign that said traffic has to stop. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's not. Anyway, so I'm done with that for a little while until I turn around, which I will have to eventually, because Donna's going to wake up, and that's part of my caregiving routine, is to make sure she has her pills, her morning pills, she takes them, and that she gets her tea and she gets nourishment and blah blah blah. So anyway, I spent a lot of time thinking about that, and I think lately, as people will do when they've hit my age, as they reflect and look back in their life, and I know this is all senseless and pointless and has no real concrete meaning in our world per se, in the current world, our acceptance of things that have already passed and regrets the things that have already happened, and the fact that we can never go back again. And so last night I had this bad dream. I'm calling it a bad dream because it involved a friend of mine who passed away several years ago. And in my dream, which was extremely vivid, I was, for whatever reason, playing a game of pickup basketball in a gymnasium. And the late, great Jim Cheneau was on the court. I mean, Jim and I worked together at a radio station. He was my idol. I'm sure I have a blog post somewhere you can read. And my idol became my friend, and was my friend up until the day that he died. And I've just had a number of unresolved things involving his death, and just death in general, death of young people. Oh, thank you, thanks, thank you, thank you. And so those people let me by. That was nice. And in this dream, we were playing a game of pickup basketball with other people, and it just seemed like it was very vivid and very real. And like Jim had this extremely baritone voice, and like I could hear it, and he was talking to people, and he was reeling off a couple of these little one-liners that he used to do, and some of them were irritating, but that was part of his charm. Everybody doesn't have things that you enjoy, and I became very emotional. And I remember I went onto the side of the court, and I was sitting, passing on the left, and I went into a fetal position, and I just started crying, weeping, and somebody came over, a female, and was trying to console me, and I turned over on my side, and she was trying to just say, it's going to be all right, and that kind of stuff. And I woke up in that position, and my face was sort of drenched, so I knew I didn't wake Don up, I don't think, but I just the whole aspect of being a part of something in the past was just so I guess, I don't know, devastating. I don't know if that's really the right word. It affected me. And I laid there for probably what seemed like an hour. And I kept thinking to myself, if I can't work through, like the emotional trauma of a friend dying, how am I going to work through the emotional trauma of potentially losing this person that I love? That presupposes that, pending a successful ablation surgery, that, she will, pass on before me. How am I going to deal with that? And I kind of laid there just bouncing back and forth between the past and the present. Just, what happened? What if? What happened? What if? What happened? What if? And it's almost like my mind was sort of bending in two, and before I could resolve anything, I had fallen back asleep. And so that's kind of what I've been dealing with lately, is realizing that not everybody deals with my situation. Not everybody is trying to run a business, work full-time, manage a home, cooking, paying bills, being the only driver in the house, being a caregiver. Not everybody is doing that. I mean, while everybody has their challenges, not everybody has these challenges. It's not that they're better or worse challenges. It's not everybody has the same events going on that cause them to change the construct of their day-to-day life in such a way that they are more focused on somebody else than themselves. And then I thought, well, maybe this is good to be focused more. Maybe this is more Zen than what I had originally envisioned. Maybe I should bask in the glow, if there is such a thing, of caring for somebody else more than I care about myself. And, morning. Excuse me. In the end, is this something that I can learn from? Is this something that I can be grateful for? So I am probably at the point where I'm going to turn around, and I realize on the top of my handlebars, I had a little, like a speedometer, and it was also something that, counted your miles and let you know kind of where you were. I probably knew where I was at one time when I rode this a little more. I don't know whether I've gone 6 miles, 7 miles, and now I have to turn around. But anyway, that is kind of what I've been tasked with, is this kind of strange space between past and present. And that strange space is the space where I need to be and need to focus on and be more aware of. And this is an odd place to be. It's odd because it's where you're supposed to be. So I'm going to turn around because, to be quite honest, this is a place, even though it's paved. Oh, again, we're so lucky that we have a paved place. It's just paved. It's not dirt or rocks or anything, gravel, which so many parts of the towpath are. So I'm turning around because I don't have anything to protect myself. Like, I don't have any mace. And since this part of the Freedom Trail winds through some questionable neighborhoods, you never know who or what is lurking. I don't have anything. Someone just comes out of the shadows and pushes me over, and then, you know. So anyway, that is my challenge. The other challenge is now I'm riding full blast into the morning sun. I do not have a hat. I'm wearing a helmet, obviously. But I'm not going to bitch about the fact that it's sunny out. So as I've talked before on this podcast, regret is something that I struggle with a lot. And so I'm crossing a fairly busy road now, hopefully. Aha, I think I have a break. This is Britain Road, and it runs north and south. And usually I have to wait a pretty long time to cross, but I got over it, so that's good. I'm out actually fairly early this morning. Gonna have to adjust my riding position because I'm feeling a little bit of numbness in the jewels, and that's never good for extended periods of time when riding a bicycle. So part of the game plan today is to visit my folks. They have been experiencing a few more medical sanitary issues that are not being addressed by the place where they live, where they pay an exorbitant amount of money. And in our family text thread, we have come to the conclusion that we are going to have a sit down with the people who are part of the administration and figure out a solution to this. I won't go into the gory details, but these are things that if you're paying $9,000 a month, you figure that they're being addressed. Even though all places are short-staffed, I get it. But I'm grateful that today, even though my father asks me the same question 7 or 8 times while I'm there, as does my mother, that at my age, I'm still able to have a conversation with my parents is, joyful. And again, I dance between those two worlds, because here's my mom asking Donna what she's doing as far as her art. My mother is very intrigued with Donna and her art, because my mother has some creative ability. And, Donna's answering her, and the answer is not true, but it's true in her head. And then my mother asks her again, 5 minutes later. I feel like I'm in a bizarre film, vacillating between what the hell, and I'm grateful that all these people who I love are together in one room. Good morning. And, I get to have another day of witnessing it today. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm not oblivious to that. I wish I were more aware of it and could find more gratitude. That would be helpful, but that is our challenge. So as far as what's been happening, that's happening. It's a job that needs to be reanalyzed, I think. And it is a situation that presents to me the challenge of living in the present moment as best I can at any one time. It can be difficult. But that is my challenge. So hopefully you are, one, having a relaxing holiday. Feels weird that this is a holiday. I was telling the guy at the bike place, I was reading this article in the paper, this day, on one end of the continuum, it's a mattress sale, it's some business. On the other end of the continuum, it's these, stories that honor these people that have given their lives for our country. It's a holiday of extremes. I heard people lighting fireworks last night. I'm thinking, what are you lighting fireworks for? We're not celebrating, really. But each to his or her own. Feeling a little lightheaded right now. This part of this trail is a little bit of an incline, so I'll be crossing all the little nooks and crannies of the circle and stopping and starting. So this is where I will leave you, so you don't have to endure that. But thanks for going along for the ride this morning. I feel like of all the holidays out of the year, this holiday seems to be the one that requires most of my commitment to be at places, to go places, showing up at get-togethers, which I guess is probably good. Some people don't have get-togethers to go to, so I'm trying to look at that as a positive and to be grateful that burger they're serving me is free and I didn't have to pay for it, and I don't have to prepare dinner tonight. So here's to a relaxing holiday if that's the case for you, and here's to trying to live in the present moment. Thank you for going along for the ride on the Gratitude Journal podcast.